The word capitalism and the word business do not mean the same thing. People have been conducting commerce with money since long before the age of capitalism, and they'll be conducting commerce with money long after the age of capitalism has ended. And there will be an end to the age of capitalism.
Commerce and entrepreneurship have existed for thousands of years, long before capitalism was even a concept. From ancient African trade routes and Native American barter systems to Middle Eastern marketplaces, human beings have always found ways to exchange goods, solve problems, and create value for one another. This is the essence of doing business, meeting needs through exchange. Capitalism, by contrast, is a much more recent system, designed around private ownership, profit maximization, and capital accumulation. It's not the same as doing business. It's a framework that business is forced to operate within. Where commerce is about service and sustainability, capitalism is about endless growth, even if it means exploiting labor, destroying the environment, or pricing people out of basic needs. The dangerous myth that capitalism and entrepreneurship are one and the same has distorted how we view business today. Under capitalism, value is measured not by how much good you bring to a community, but by how much profit you can extract from it. That's why companies that poison rivers or lay off thousands while raking in record profits are still praised as successful. But business doesn't require this system to function. It never did. In fact, many small entrepreneurs, local businesses, and creators thrive in spite of capitalism, not because of it. Commerce was here before capitalism, and it will be here after it.
Capitalism is a system that actually put importance on profit and growth, not protecting people's life, not satisfying people's desire. They only do the capitalism only does this only insofar as it is useful for making more profit. Right? So in a sense, the growth came to the point where it is no longer productive or efficient, because growth could be achieved by sacrificing people's lives. Growth could be achieved by destroying the planet and so on. We are not allowed to continue the business as usual because capitalism is not adequately responding to this crisis. It's been failing since years. After the pandemic and even the climate crisis and the war, and these are the things that we are not supposed to deal with in this way. So I think we came to the point where we really have to rethink how we live, how we organize our society, and how we organize the entire economy. And degrowth is a proposal. We end with this excessive obsession with constant growth because our world, planet, is basically finite and infinite growth is not possible.
Capitalism has made it painfully clear. It doesn't care whether people live or die. Its only goal is infinite growth, no matter the cost. It will burn through workers, communities, ecosystems, and entire countries if it means profit margins go up. There's no built-in morality, no concern for who suffers. If saving lives doesn't make money, it's not prioritized. That's why insulin in the US costs hundreds of dollars. That's why companies dump toxic waste near poor neighborhoods. That's why housing sits empty while people sleep on the streets. This system doesn't even protect the elites who run it. Corporations overextend, crash, and collapse under their own weight. But when they fall, the government steps in, not for the people, but to rescue the same institutions that caused the disaster. They're labeled too big to fail, bailed out with public money, and sent right back to business as usual. That's not entrepreneurship. That's a rigged survival mechanism for capital itself. It's not about serving life, it's about feeding a machine. Commerce is human. Capitalism is indifferent.
The issue is this. In America today, we have chosen the following system, which is an insane system that most people think is brilliant. And the insane system works like this. You tell people that the good society is achieved by encouraging business people to first of all, make as much money as possible in whatever way they can. If you have to pay people, underpay people, pay them insecurely, make them contractors instead of salary, do whatever you need to do, but just make as much money as you can by paying people as little and as insecurely as possible. Second, please try to make money by avoiding taxes and even evading taxes illegally if you have to, as much as possible. Set up trusts, set up shell companies. And third, we tell these business people, if you need to rig public policy to your benefit, against the public interest, but for your private benefit, so that you don't get regulated in the way you don't like, so you don't have labor laws you don't like, so you don't have antitrust, anti-monopoly scrutiny the way you don't like. Do that. So then, what happens? You get a bunch of companies that make way more money than they would have made if they hadn't done the things I just described, number one. Number two, you start to have a bunch of social problems that you wouldn't have had people been paid more, had more taxes been paid, had more regulations been in place. And third, you have a government that is no longer capable of responding to those social problems because it is defunded, defanged, and discredited in the eyes of the public. Okay, so this is a very ripe situation. So now, everything I just said is an analysis that is missing from a lot of these discussions. Okay, we start where I ended. So now we start with, well, all these rich people have this money, we have all these social problems, and government is terrible, so at least rich people are doing something. No. You have to tell the whole story I just told. Rich people are the reason we have these problems, and the government is incapable. And then they step on the scene and complain about the situation that their class caused and present themselves as the solution to the situation they have engendered, which is sort of like arsonists showing up at the site of a burning building and claiming to be the most capable firefighters.
Capitalism is vicious because it turns everything, even life itself, into a resource to be exploited. Real business is about solving problems, meeting needs, and building value with and for people. Capitalism hijacks that and weaponizes it. It doesn't just sell you food, it sells you disease through processed garbage, then profits again off the medication. It doesn't just offer housing, it inflates prices until entire generations are locked out, then calls that the market. Under capitalism, if war, addiction, poverty, or climate disaster make money, they're seen as opportunities, not emergencies. Real business wants a customer to return. Capitalism wants them dependent. Real business values trust. Capitalism manipulates behavior through surveillance, algorithms, and debt. And when it all collapses, capitalism doesn't apologize, it consolidates. Those who cause the harm come out richer, while workers and communities are left picking up the pieces.
Every individual capitalist is caught up in competition. He or she is always worried that another company is going to develop a new way of doing this, or a cheaper way of doing this, or a new product is going to come along that everybody's going to want instead of whatever it is I produce. So every capitalist is always kind of, looking over his or her shoulder, worrying about competition. And one of the ways you handle that is to grow, because the bigger you are, the more profit you get. And the more profit you get, the better your chance of surviving a competitive challenge. If somebody else comes up with a new machine, well, if you have enough profit in your business, you could buy one of those machines too. If someone else comes up with a new product, well, then you'll have enough profit to go into that business. Profit is your survival. And the best way to have more profit is to grow your business. You don't worry if you're using up the resources of the planet, or if you're polluting everything in sight, or if you're making the lives of your workers very unpleasant, because in your mind, your survival is at stake. And so capitalism has this, as you put it, cancerous growth imperative that drives it. And now we're seeing, particularly in the climate change and other kinds of movements, we're seeing yet another example that this kind of hysterical, out of control growth for its own sake, this product of a capitalist system, defies rationality when it becomes clear that there are good reasons not to grow quickly, but to grow in very particular ways at chosen rates so that we hold on to the environment we depend on in the end.
Capitalism has destroyed the world of business by replacing sustainability with ruthless expansion. Small, local businesses that once served communities with integrity are being wiped out by megacorporations that prioritize profit at all costs. Brick-and-mortar stores, once the backbone of the middle class, are now ghosted by monopolies that undercut prices, exploit labor, and avoid taxes. Real business grows at a human pace, focused on service and value. Capitalism, on the other hand, demands infinite growth, and anything or anyone that doesn't scale fast enough gets eliminated. The result is an economy that punishes integrity and rewards destruction. At the same time, capitalism is ravaging the planet. Forests are clear-cut, oceans polluted, and entire ecosystems pushed to collapse, not out of necessity, but because exploitation is more profitable than preservation. The middle class is shrinking, not because there's no money, but because the money is stuck at the top. Capitalism concentrates wealth and power by design. It does not redistribute or share through fair trade or equitable systems. Growth under capitalism is not about lifting people up. It's about taking more, owning more, and giving nothing back. Until we separate capitalism from the idea of real business, the damage will continue.
Mark Zuckerberg famously said that the motto of Facebook is move fast and break things. And this was considered a heroic new stance. These young people were coming in, they were breaking up the way the world was, and they were making huge sums of money out of it. They were inventing new ideas and they were sweeping away everything from the past. And so you disrupt the bread and breakfast space with Airbnb. You disrupt the car hire and taxi services with Uber. You disrupt. And we're now living in a broken world because things have been disrupted and they've not been replaced with anything like.
And they've been disrupted by people who just want to be very, very rich.
Yes.
And not to do one thing superbly well.
Silicon Valley's philosophy of move fast and break things wasn't just a slogan. It became a strategy to upend traditional industries, not for the sake of real innovation, but for monopolization and exponential profit. Companies like Uber didn't invent transportation. They undercut taxi industries with unsustainable pricing and gig labor, dodging regulation while workers lost stable incomes. Airbnb didn't create hospitality. It turned housing into a speculative market, pricing out residents in major cities just to rent to tourists. Amazon didn't improve retail. It annihilated it. Local bookstores, electronic shops, even grocery chains have been crushed under its logistics empire, all while warehouse workers are pushed to their physical limits. These companies made billions, not by building better systems, but by exploiting loopholes, avoiding labor laws, and externalizing the true cost of their convenience. This is not progress. It's capitalism wearing the mask of innovation. Tech monopolies like Facebook, now Meta, destroyed journalism by draining ad revenue from news outlets, then flooded the internet with algorithms that prioritize outrage over truth. Google, once a search engine, has morphed into an advertising giant that tracks every click, monetizes attention, and controls information flow. These platforms reshaped human behavior for profit, not advancement. Real innovation, ideas that serve the public good, improve infrastructure, or uplift communities, has been paused or abandoned altogether. Why? Because it doesn't generate fast, scalable returns. Capitalism doesn't care if something works better for people. It only cares if it extracts more value from them. And in that model, entire industries, jobs, communities, and human lives become collateral damage. This isn't business. It's corporate colonization of everyday life.
What if I told you that our economic system is fundamentally at odds with human survival? That capitalism isn't just unsustainable, it's an ecological time bomb waiting to explode. Capitalism runs on one rule: infinite growth. But there's a problem. Our planet isn't infinite. Every product sold, every resource extracted, every industry expanded comes at a cost. Studies show that global economic growth is the leading driver of biodiversity loss and climate destabilization. And you know what's stopping real change? Profit. Under capitalism, companies are not rewarded for sustainability. They are rewarded for short-term gains. Fossil fuel corporations rake in billions while accelerating climate change. Industries cut costs by dumping toxic waste. Governments, instead of protecting the planet, subsidize destruction. Why? Because protecting profit is the system's top priority, not protecting people, not protecting the planet, not protecting the future.
To anyone still defending capitalism while not being part of the elite, you're protecting a system that will never protect you. You will likely never sit at the top where wealth is hoarded, decisions are made, and damage is outsourced. Capitalism isn't your ally. It's a machine built to serve capital, not people. And if you're not extracting, you're being extracted. Under this system, millions of lives have been lost to preventable disease, poverty, unsafe work conditions, climate disasters, and wars driven by profit. These aren't accidental outcomes. They are the cost of doing business when human life is just another line item. Things that should never be for sale, like clean water, education, housing, medicine, and even dignity, are now luxury commodities. Insulin prices are inflated while diabetics ration doses and die. Rent is pushed beyond reach while investment firms buy up entire neighborhoods. Students are buried in debt for basic education, while billionaires pay nothing in taxes. Funeral costs bankrupt families. Bottled oxygen is sold in polluted cities. Even clean air is becoming a product. That's capitalism in its purest form. Everything is for sale, including your survival. This is not the future of business. It's the slow erasure of humanity for profit. And until we stop mistaking this system for commerce, we'll continue to lose both the economy and our lives to it.
Hi, my bank account is stuck. I keep wiring a lot of money, but my balance won't shift.
Okay. How much money is it stuck at?
I don't see why that matters.
How much money, sir?
$50 million.
$50 million! We have a winner!
What is going on?
You won capitalism!
I don't like this. So how do I make more money?
That's the end. You did it. 50 million is plenty. Next.
What? No, you can't just...
I'm sorry, sir. Are you complaining about only having $50 million?
No, I just... This can't be a thing.
No, yeah, it is a thing now. It's a new law.
But I do...
I'm sorry. What exactly are you wanting to do that you can't do with $50 million?
Why would I even keep working?
Yeah, so no more money for you. That all goes to the poor. But don't be sad. You can still win sticky bucks.
No.
Get enough and win cool prizes like this custom toilet paper roll with the names of normies you beat at capitalism.
No, I don't want that. I
know, more money. You sure do love your money, and that's why you get to cash in your first sticky bucks for a hug from Bucko McGee.
No. Stay. No. Get the f away from me!
Oh, good, Bucko.